Right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar. Today, this is the third webinar in the series of 5 that is part of the international hosted events as part of the London Festival of Architecture. The event is organized by Al-Kindi Society of Engineers and by the Iraqi Embassy in London with the support of the UNESCO. So where we are at the moment is the third event of the day, where we are delighted to welcome the team from the project Oasis of Peace, which is a team that has won the third prize as part of the UNESCO international competition to design the Al-Nouri Grand Mosque complex in Mosul. With that, I would like to hand over to our panelist speaker, Mr. Pedro Garcia Martinez, to introduce the project and share with us the slides for his presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me share my screen for a second.
Sure.
Can you see it already?
Yes, we can. If you make it full screen, please.
Okay. Okay. So here we are. Good afternoon. I am Pedro Garcia Martinez, one of the co-founders of UNESCO, which is a collective of architects and engineers, junior and senior, men and women, who share their, in this case, our passion for architecture and the conviction that it is a powerful tool for understanding today's society and its problem and its aspirations. The city of Mosul, whose name means connecting point in Arabic, as it is my understanding, is one of the oldest cities in the world, and such as has played a key role in the cultural and commercial exchange for centuries. As we all know, it was devastated in 2017, and then it was photographed as a huge ruin. The international architectural competition promoted by UNESCO, in which we had the honor of being awarded with a third prize, proposed the reconstruction of the 12th century Al-Nouri Mosque complex, in which until then, this complex had been until then the center of civic life in all Mosul, but whose condition is similar to the one we saw in the picture. Well, nowadays it has improved a little bit, but it was as you can see. So 2 issues were very important to us during the process of developing our proposal. Firstly, how could we come up with a project that would emphasize and empathize as well with the situation in which the inhabitant of the city, which is certainly devastated life. And secondly, how could we devise a proposal whose construction would serve to reinforce the bonds of the community, not only once it was built, but also from the very beginning of the process of its construction. The possible answer to both questions coincided in pointing out that a salient feature of our proposal should be its clarity. It was not easy to achieve this clarity at the beginning. We have to discard many previous approaches of the project. When we even have to give a proposal that we even have to give a proposal that, as you can see, seem very attractive in paper, but we knew that probably they would not suit in the context and in the circumstances. So to achieve this clarity, we work, or we will need to work on two scales. We noticed that. According to the aforementioned questions, we will have to work on a urban scale first, and then, according to the above mentioned issues, to generate a sense of community or reinforce the sense of community, we will have to work at urban scale, at a constructive level as well. Many of the clues we needed to work on a urban scale came out as deciphering the messages conveyed by some of the old houses that were still standing nearby the site. This featured an imposing courtyard flanked by a portico or a porch onto which different rooms led. As we can see in this image, this porch, as the mosque itself, was built of alabaster, a stone that is not only translucent, but it's also very common in Mosul. The aerial photo of the site taken before the attack shows the position of most prominent points of the site, such as the tomb of Al-Nouri to the north and the mosque to the south. According to the competition rules, the mosque should be reconstructed to restore the image that it had before it was demolished. In addition, 3 traditional houses, similar to the one we've shown before, have to be maintained and incorporated to the project. The constructions located in the northern part of the site, next to the tomb and the minaret, would not only would not be an object for the intervention, but they should be taken into account because they could be the aim of further operations there. Thus, the action would be concentrated mainly in the areas marked in this image. A school should be built on them with a playground and an architectural high school with a library, a small auditorium, and a cafeteria. So the solution we propose had as a fundamental premise the clarity we have introduced already. So the layout of our proposal rested on a main element that was drawing the perimeter of the site, this portico, which at the same time was dividing the site into 2 clearly differentiated courtyards. One linked to the educational centers, and the other was shaping the zone or the prior courtyard itself. This provided a very clear sequence of open spaces leading from the main entrance to the complex, located to the west as it was required, and progressing to the prior courtyard. As well, this element, this portico or this porch, provided secondary accesses linked to the most or to the more important points in the urban fabric. The port also serves as a connection and as a base for the organization of all the buildings that make up the proposal. Let me show. The school, for instance, had the entrances under the portico, and it was generating a covered playground. The Institute of Architecture, the High School of Architecture, the cafeteria and the auditorium were provided also with respective entrances. The auditorium could be accessed also from the outside directly if required, like and in this case the house that was retained would act as a main hall for this auditorium, as a foyer. In the north part, a building housing the administration office of the complex will turn also as the roof of the required car park area. And here we can see the location of the mosque once it was rebuilt. And according to the requirement, it had to be done as it was before its destruction in 2017. We also thought about providing a delicate seat of water in front of the mosque, so it would help us to reflect the image of the mosque itself and underlining its importance within the complex. The upper floors are similar to the ground floor and have the same idea. Here we can see the classrooms and the library of the high school and the offices of the north building as well. The aerial image provides a synthetic view of the relationship between the new buildings and the mosque, and between the mosque and those new buildings with the city itself. We thought that it would be also mediated by this portico, which, for instance, in this corner, it turns at the fence of the whole complex and incorporates a door that was remaining there. In fact, one of the issues that we have to pay a lot of attention and work out carefully was the height of the portico. We set it in 5 meters. 6 meters, so it would be in any case lower than the mosque and would not compete with it in importance. We can see in this image. At the same time, it had to give rise to an interesting section, which would allow the combination of the spaces of different heights, such as the school playground. We can see it here, the cafeteria, and the foyer of the auditorium, as we said before. This image provides a summary idea of this concept. Well, at a constructive level, we like to think that the simplicity and clarity of the design form would allow the reconstruction of the complex to be carried out with the great participation of the inhabitants of the city themselves, either by carrying out simple tasks that involve an apprenticeship that they could then use in the reconstruction of their own houses or in their own neighborhood, or because it involved the use of local knowledge and materials known to the craftsmen who had lived in the area, giving continuity to this knowledge and these traditions. This would reinforce the sense of community, which, as we see in the news item, in the piece of news that we've collected on the left, emerged in the aftermath of the conflict, just spontaneously. So in any case, Mosul citizens, its people should be the most important factor for us in this reconstruction. That's why the simplicity and clarity of the forms of the portico and the perimeter fencing reflects this desire to build without stridency, both towards the interior of the complex and towards the city. Also, the image suggests the use of reinforced concrete, for instance, in this case. The simple forms of the proposal give the certainty that the construction could be resolved with different materials and techniques without losing its essence. This is what would give a certain sense of timelessness to the result. The reconstruction of the mosque, however, would be a slightly more complex procedure, I think. But it could be solved in a simple way because, as the image show, it seems that the recovery and cataloging operations have already been carried out on the remains. So the idea would be that in the reconstruction of the mosque, the different pieces of the stone recovered of this alabaster would occupy the original place as it was in the original building. The enclosure of the mosque that has mostly disappeared would be revealed with a double wall system, as we can see in this plan. For the construction of these walls, the rubble collected in the immediate vicinity or in the neighborhood of the site could be used. In this way, the mosque could be said to rise from the ashes of the city itself. We would like to think about this kind of system. These walls would have the different perforations and different holes in different places, as you can see in these details, and would also solve the link with the existing structure that has been retained, that is still standing in the site. But these walls, this double wall system would be covered inside and outside with an alabaster cladding. This cladding would reproduce all the details carving the stone of the original mosque, of the facade of the original mosque, but also would allow the light to pass through it, so much as in the daytime, as we can see here, but also or as well at night. this, in addition to differentiating the recover element for those that have been newly made, would give the mosque a prominent aspect within the complex. It would show also kind of a warm light from it, as we can see in these images. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that excellent presentation. And with that, we can start the question and answer session. If you don't mind, I will stop the screen share.
Yes, sure.
And we're now joined by some of the participants in the project team, and they are welcome to open their microphones and cameras if they wish to participate in answering some of the questions. We have a number of questions from the audience that are in the question and answer section of the application. We also have the facility for any of the members of the audience to raise their hand, and we will offer them the microphone to speak directly to the panelists. So please write your questions or raise your hand, and you'll be given the opportunity. Mr. Pedro, thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
It was interesting watching that video at the end, and it gives you the feel of an Andalusian architecture. Every time we visit Spain, some of us get really impressed by the heritage conservation that occurs in Spain. We have a question from a member of the audience, Mr. Aziz Al-Nasiri, who is asking, how much has the influence of Andalusian architecture and the history of conservation in Spain helped the project team in the design concept?
So may I take, I'm Javier Maroto, I'm part of the team. So I would like to answer you,
Sure.
Aziz. So I think there is a lot to refer to this history that we have in Spain, and all the inheritance that, you know, is very influential in our way of working and understanding architecture. It doesn't matter the time, it doesn't matter. The thing is that that culture is absolutely embedded into our way of looking at the city, into the way of relating the city with the community, and understanding also architecture as a mean for making that clear. So I think in response to your question, I think, you know, there is a very, very important memory that we have achieved through all this, you know, history that we hold, that is undeniable, is rooted to what we had to do here. So this also connects very well with some of the questions that I'm reading in the panel. So what was our interest on participating or just gathering to the entry of this competition? I mean, there were three things I think very important. So the one is that the thing that I already explained, so our, you know, roots and our culture, which is linked to this city and this, you know, kind of understanding of the city. The second one is the importance of the reconstruction. So the reconstruction is a kind of symbolic effort, a tremendous effort for the community itself, for the internationally, you know, like sensibility of the people and the different organizations about the importance of raising up, you know, the memory and putting that in a way that we could, you know, celebrate something that we have lost. I mean, as a humanity, I mean, as human kind, I mean, this is a great lose, I mean, for everybody. So I think that the effort that has been carried out through, you know, the Iraqi people, you know, the citizens of Mosul, the UNESCO, of course, and all the organization of this competition is incredible. So we're absolutely captured and catch, you know, by this idea, but the strength of this idea from the very first time that we read that this competition was launched. So we just decided to make it, although it was difficult, but you know, it was a kind of challenge that we wouldn't like in that moment to deny or to avoid or whatever. So the third issue is that the importance of the competition was paired with the importance of the jurors and the jury. So the jury was, you know, the panelists of the jury, they were incredible. I mean, in terms of the respect that they, you know, they have from the overall community. They were very important architects, very important, you know, historians and archaeologists and people that are really linked to, you know, to the knowledge of how to do these things. So, you know, that we were celebrating that because it's not, I mean, it was like extraordinary in terms of, you know, the quality of the jury and the jurors. So, well, we get through this challenge, you know, with all the, you know, strength and with all the illusion for making it, you know, for accomplishing a good solution for the reconstruction.
Sure. Thank you for that. Would you like to add anything else? Any member of the panel?
Well, I would like to highlight also well, we have explained it before in the presentation, but I think it's very important to highlight the point of view from which we were developing our proposal. I mean, it was necessary for us to make a building or different buildings, but empathizing with the population there. I mean, recently, as you have asked, here in Spain, well, not recently, but 10 years ago, we had in the south of Spain a very strong earthquake that was demolishing, or that was ending up with an important city here in the southeast of Spain, and it's something that you never know when it's going to happen, but it would put you directly in this situation. So for us, it was very important to get at the beginning to provide people that have suffered this situation with some help, and at the same time, which is little by little, letting us know that it's possible to have the reconstruction and somehow recover their loss, at least anemically. This is one of the most important things, I think. And when they get involved in the process, it's much better, because at the end, in their minds, they see themselves like they are acting towards this reconstruction, and they somehow are recovering like this in the very same moment what they have lost, even when they still have a long way to go to have the city as it was, and because it's very difficult, but they are already acting towards these objectives, and it's, I think, very important.
Yeah, thank you. Have you worked in the region before?
In Iraq?
in the Middle East?
No,
No,
we haven't. I mean, this is our first approach to. So one thing that I want to say, I would like to say just on behalf of the rest of the members of the team, is that we are really thrilled and really, challenged by this opportunity. We would like to start working on devastating kind of important in heritage countries and cities as this. So we think we really want to cope, with this community, with the people that are sensitive, they have sensitivity about these issues, because, I mean, to us, it's like the most kind of challenging and like satisfying kind of process that one architect, I mean, we speak as architects and engineers, we can be involved with. And the reason is because these projects help in not only acknowledging, what you have as a kind of cultural heritage, but also help to provide a strength to the community itself, because the community has to get involved with the reconstruction of what is theirs. So it's important for us to, is as architects, we can say that we are really, like engaged by this powerful idea of working with the community. It's not having a client. I mean, it's working, with lots of clients and lots of ways of seeing and lots of ways of remembering what you had there. So, it's tremendously rich in terms of process and in terms of, professional kind of, appliance to these kind of things. So,
Sure. So with that, one of the questions from the audience is asking if the team had spoken or consulted with Iraqis, architects or historians from Mosul or from Iraq in general about their designs, and if so, how did that process occur? And if not, how were you influenced, and how did you take the community input into account?
yeah, that's a good question. I mean, for the time we had, I mean, it was like pretty tough, the schedule. We had to work very hard. We were like a quite large team of different people. So we were discussing and stretching the discussion, among all the members of the team. So we had some, I would say, consultants and people from, with different knowledges that would have like a powerful voice in terms of, influencing the final proposal, because they had a former experience in rehabilitation. So that was the case of one of the members. But at the same time, so the most difficult thing was to put in balance, what should be, let's say, reconstructed in a kind of literal way as it was, or it could be like interpreted with a sense of novelty, but without enhancing, without losing or lacking, the importance of what was there before.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to be very careful with that kind of thing. For sure, if we would have been awarded with the first prize and we have in charge of this project, immediately we would be starting to work with Iraqi, experts and historians and archaeologists and the society itself, because for this particular project, I mean, I think it's absolutely, of maximum importance. I mean, it's
Sure.
the higher importance. You cannot do this without that kind of consultancy, for sure.
Sure.
And also what we have done, not in terms of a dynamic dialogue or contact the people directly, but one of the nice things I think of architecture, and in this way, in this case, is similar to music as well, is that we can talk through the drawings. And what we have been done very consciously has been recovering many different drawings, many different projects of new buildings, old buildings that has been done in that area, or historical building, historical ways of developing even a very single house, as I have tried to introduce earlier in the presentation. And this is, I think, as I said, one of the most beautiful things about architecture. You can talk by the means of drawings with people from many different cultures, and they would understand each other very, very, very well, I think.
Mm-hmm. Right. Thank you for that. So we have two questions that are very similar from the audience. One from Michael and one from an anonymous attendee. And the question is along the lines, what were the main criteria used by the jurors, and was the team content with the system of assessment of the proposals? And then a follow-up question to that will be, were you happy with the end result and with the winning design?
Well, that last part of the question is really, I mean, it's very comprehensive. We understand very well, but it's difficult to answer just from our side. I mean, it will be difficult. I mean, we are very jealous of the team that has been awarded, because not only because they have won the competition, that's something that I mean, it's important, but the important is to do something that would be relevant for the community there. So out of that, you will get, the challenge, the real challenge to face that problem and, reconstruct something that has been torn down. So it's like incredible. This opportunity, I think it may change your life. I mean, forever, and your way of looking at things. So we are very jealous. We do have envy of what they are going to do, but we are very happy for them. And we think, let me say, that we think is a great project. I mean, the decision that was like the final result of the judge of all these, entries, I think is very well done. I think I do really, I mean, I can speak out loud, and I in this case I know the opinion of the rest of the team members, of our team members, and we are happy for you and for the city, and of course we celebrate and congratulate the winning team members and their proposal. I think is going to be really worthwhile for the city and really successful. So on the other hand, are we happy with, or do we understand the way the main criteria have been influencing the jurors? Well, as far as we have seen and analyzed the different explanations about the different proposals, we think that they have done a great work. It's not easy to judge, this competition in a kind of fair way. There are many issues that are intervening directly, and it's difficult to pick up, the right, or, I'm pretty sure, I haven't seen the rest of the entries, but I'm pretty sure that the level of this competition has been really, really high. I mean, there will be many, many entries that they have not been awarded. We have been very lucky. So we are very happy with the third prize. But for sure, there will be many other entries that they have not been awarded. I'm sure that they have great ideas as well. So, yeah.
Thank you. Any more input to the questions from you, Pedro?
No, I'm actually very happy as well, and I would like to congrats those that have won the competition, and also those that are in the second place, and all the other teams that have competed, and also the organization, because I mean, it's as I said before, architecture is also a way to understand our society, and it's a tool for us to be in contact with all those members of our society, in another way, not just speaking, not in a literary contact, but also now also it's a way to know about their history, about their cultures, and I think that we all, the all members of the team, of our team and the other teams, do enjoy this, have enjoyed this competition a lot because of that.
Thank you. A question that I have from other colleagues outside of the meeting is related to this internationally recognized competition. Of course, comes with a very comprehensive set of documentations, and it's actually one of the best that many of my colleagues have seen and commented on its comprehensiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that has actually also impacted the level of interest from Iraqi architects who might not have the knowledge of how to apply for these kind of competitions? And if I frame the question a little bit in a more academic way, what lessons can be learned from international competitions in the future to help maximize local contribution to the competition?
Yes, this is a really good question. I mean, I was not in fact thinking about this. This could happen, but it makes me reflect on the question itself. It's also delivering some of the answer. Maybe it's a good way or a good fact that would help us to reflect on the organization of this kind of competitions. Actually, I think that we were provided with a lot of information. That's true, but at least in our case, we tried, as I said before, to deliver a proposal that was as clear and as simple as we could. So in that sense, even when the information was there and we could use them, somehow we found out that it was not necessary for the basic step or the primary steps that we were setting towards our solution. So, I mean, it was okay that we had that information there, but at the end of the day, we, in a way, we would feel like we need to provide a solution, a proposal that somehow we could start doing with our own hands if we were there. And I mean, by our own hands and by the people living their own hands. So we all together could, you know, deliver this solution. That was our main aim in this case. So the drawings, the information that we were delivering, it was our target that it would have to be readable in those terms.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Let me add one thing that I want to say. Maybe, I mean, this is something that we could discuss. Maybe, you know, stretch the conversation in another session. But, you know, I think competitions like this should be really open. I mean, they are like a model, an exemplary model to follow. So in terms of the brief, how it was prepared, I think is perfect, almost perfect. I mean, the information you were saying, I mean, the information that was provided by the organizers of the competition was like incredibly. I mean, it was very synthetic, very clear, and it helped a lot to understand well what were the goals, the real goals of the competition. So besides, you know, what is visible, what is fairly well understood from the very beginning, you could go very deep into the questions like construction, you know, involvement of the local kind of, you know, community into the project, all these things. I just have one thing that I'm not fully agreeing, okay? I'm going to tell you. So there was like a requirement that you have, there is a need to prove that you had like a previous and large, I would say, experience to face this competition. So that would, I mean, in fact, make all the young people that they don't have this experience, that they are, I mean, they are full of energy and they have a lot of ideas, and maybe they belong to the community and they know things, largely better than we do. I mean, because, I mean, we are forming part of a generation that we have had the opportunity of constructing, since 30, 40 years. And we have been, dealing with all this restoration and rehabilitation kind of issues. But there are people that have not had that opportunity, and they are incredibly brave and great. So I would allow all these people to have a voice in these kind of competitions. Why not? Maybe if they don't have the experience or the background that would be necessary for, the commitment of the accomplishment of the final executive project, they could have that help from there or from engineering kind of consultancies or whatever that they do can provide really that kind of background. But the authorship and of the ideas and the the initiatives is not, to my view, is not really necessarily rooted to the background that you have. So that that would help to widen and broaden the impact and the interest of many young people that they don't have never ever the opportunity of facing these problems.
Yeah, thank you. So one final question we have from the audience it says from Noor, thank you for the excellent presentation. Undoubtedly, Mosul is an ancient city and has many archaeological stratas. Have you investigated with archaeologists to understand the archaeological scene and whether there are any archaeological ruins older than the original mosque under the area that you are going to rebuild Al-Nouri Mosque on? I think that kind of question maybe we can leave to tomorrow's seminar with the UNESCO project management team to answer. But I have one last question to you in the audience, in the panel. Do you think heritage sites and sites of architectural importance should be designed by competition, or should they be more traditionally designed with local architects and local knowledge?
I think both of them could be a good response to these places, and in a way that I don't see a contradiction of like leading these kind of initiatives by two different options. I see that for these projects, and I would say that even more than in other projects, collaboration, mingling efforts, creating communities, associations, multiple participation is going to enrich the final result. So you don't have to pick up, like the right choice. You just have to mingle among the different possibilities and initiatives that could be led into this kind of thing. So, architects, artists, intellectuals, historians, archaeologists, all they would be working and coping in the same direction with their own, grade of expertise. And of course, the community itself, maybe they are just, normal people, that they don't have to achieve like a particular, and a specific knowledge, but they are a powerful voice. They know how things are. They are going to use them. They are the principal agent in any kind of, effort that we could drive. So we cannot forget normal people.
Of course. With that, I would like to thank you in the panel for the excellent presentation
Thank you.
and for the opportunity to present your project and for us to hear more about it. No doubt we will need to have a follow-up discussion and maybe a workshop on how we look at reconstructing areas of heritage importance and architectural significance during post-conflict periods. And no doubt we'll get in touch with you as a panel and the team. And we definitely look forward to seeing more Spanish contributions in reconstruction efforts in Iraq, in Mosul, and beyond this competition only. Not only this competition, but beyond that as well.
So,
And
yeah,
thank you. And last remarks to you, please.
Well, thank you very much for your kind invitation, for this opportunity to show our ideas and our work and to share them with the community and with the attendees. Just I would like to say that we are very absolutely delightful of being part of this kind of effort. So you can count on us in whatever initiatives you would be promoting now or in the future. I mean, we will be part, hopefully and wishfully, we would like to be part of them. Yeah, thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed.
Thank you very much. And with that, wish you a good day and goodbye.
Okay.